that guitar. He's been an inspiration to pick up a guitar and learn something new. So welcome, everybody. I am just excited to welcome all the game changers. This is our special call of the month with a special guest for a certain level of community game changer members. So we acknowledge you for being on this call. And we have a repeat guest, which is rare in this community. And I'm excited. So before we start, in one word, put in the chat, what are you feeling or experiencing right now? Let's hear it. Pumped. Excited. Gratitude. Ready. Excited. All right. Beautiful anticipation. Fired up. Excited. A lot of excitement here, Steve. Well, I'm grateful. And I'm really, really inspired to have this man on here. I'll give you his short bio for those who need it, which is, Steve Chandler is a life coach and corporate seminar leader who's authored over 30 books. In my mind, it feels like about 90 or so books, but I could be off. They include the bestsellers, Reinventing Yourself, Shift Your Mind, Shift the World, Crazy Good, and The Power of Systems. And for all you who know, Steve is my coach. Steve has been in my life for the last 12 years, and he's one of two people who I always say has had the most profound impact on my life, my business, and everything. And it's gone way beyond business. It's really about my whole entire life, that I am grateful for meeting this man. He's changed the trajectory of my life. I've seen the impact he's made on so many people. I used to stalk him after reading the book, and then found a way to get into his ACS, Advanced Client Systems coaching school, which I attended for 4 years, and been coaching with him ever since, going on 12 years. And there's nobody. What I love about Steve is he's at the tender age of whatever age he is. There's not 1 year that's gone along that I've met him that he hasn't always looked to put himself in rooms in which he continues to learn. Right? He's really the definition of a master, which is the only difference between a master and a student is the master knows that he's always a student. Steve has always been a student of the game. And every year I'm looking, what rooms are you in this year? What retreat you going to? And I try to follow him wherever he goes. And it's just a real inspiration of the man he is, the husband he is, the father he is. And he's become a really great friend of mine and part of our family. So without further ado, Steve is going to spend some time, I think, talking about the power of systems and how to create a life that works. And then we're going to open it up for some Q&A. So take yourselves off mute, because I'm very excited, and give the Godfather coaching, my man, Steve Chandler, some love. Give him some love.
Yeah, Steve.
Steve.
Yo, Steve.
Thank you for
Hello,
joining
Steve.
us.
Thank you. Well, Appreciate thank you.
Yo.
Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Jessica. And thank you, everybody. I'm honored to be here. Devin has become a friend and a hero of mine for the work he does in the world, for the Game Changer, and for all of you people using the Game Changer as a system to stay in touch with whatever you're devoted to being in touch with. Continuous growth, connection with the world, making a difference out there in life, learning to be happy. And one of the things that I love about systems is they're fun to coach with. When I coach people, it's really fun. The past few years that I've been using them in coaching is to move people out of their own amateur personal psychology, their own ego, their own self-referential thinking, and into the world by means of a system. Now, some people say when I wrote the book with Trevor Timbeck, The Power of Systems, some people have said, I don't like systems. They're robotic. They have no heart. They're not spiritual. And that hasn't been my experience. As a matter of fact, my experience has been completely opposite of that. I'll give you a few examples. The book was originally going to be titled Systems, Not Psychology. And we fought with that for a while because both Trevor and I had friends and mentors who were psychologists, and we respected, and they performed a kind of psychology that was advanced, progressive, and very effective. And what we were talking about when you choose a system over psychology was the kind of amateur psychology that I had been using on myself all my dysfunctional life, which was half of my life. And the clients that I've worked with over the last 3 decades now arrive with. And the clients I work with arrive with something's wrong with me. I need to change myself. I've got character flaws, personality defects, and they come from what's wrong with me. And working with systems is what there's nothing wrong with you. What's your current system for creating what you want to create? And by moving a client, and by client, I also mean myself, because I'm coaching myself every day. We all are, whether we know it or not. Moving myself out of the ego, out of the self, out of amateur psychology, out of constant circular thinking, self doubt, and into a system that puts me, like Devin says, on the court, out of the stands on the court, into life, reconnected with life, like I was when I was 4 years old, full of energy and wonder, and everything was exciting. And then we go through in our culture, one of the things that my co-author wrote in the book that I thought was very wise, we live in a culture of what's wrong. That's our culture. That's Western culture right now. It's in the media, it's in the movies, it's everywhere. It's especially on the internet. What's wrong? In fact, there's a speaker I heard, Dimitri Martin, and he said the evening news ought to be called What's Wrong? Not here's the news tonight, here's the 7 o'clock news. It should be, it's 7 o'clock. Here's what's wrong. Hurricanes here, weather there, apartment fire, protesters shot, nuclear bomb, this, that. That's what's wrong. Now, when I grow into a culture of what's wrong, it's not a very big leap to what's wrong with me whenever I'm not creating what I want to create. The problem with that approach, the problem with that kind of amateur psychology I found on myself, on people I work with and I coach, is that it keeps me contracted and off the court, out of action, and disconnected, isolated. I, me, mine, egoic isolation. I taught a course in systems 2 days ago here in Arizona, and it was 8 hours long. And we talked about what's it like to live life trapped in my own thinking. And there was a really powerful and wonderful psychiatrist in the room. He's an MD, Bill Pettit. And one of his observations, one of the things he teaches, because he calls himself a spiritual psychologist. He's from the three principles. And what he teaches people is I'm either in my life or I'm in my thoughts. the percent of time I spend in my thoughts has a direct impact on my happiness and well being. The lower the percent of time I spend in my thoughts, in my amateur psychology, in my ego, and the higher percent of time I spend in my life instead of in my thoughts, the happier I am and the more effective I am. His whole psychiatric and psychological career has been based on that one insight. So now, systems. My co author said systems are like Wikipedia. Psychology is like a Ouija board. I'll give you some examples of what has happened in my direct experience moving out of self referential thinking, the ego, the permanent personality, stuck in the little me, mini me, I, me, mine, and out back reconnected to the universe, the multiverse, if you want. And where has that happened? So, the biggest change in my life came when I got a recovery program and I became clean and sober after years and years of alcoholism and drug addiction, where I emerged. When I went into train corporate, when I first started doing this kind of work, they would ask for my resume. My resume was bankruptcy, divorce, alcoholism, and drug addiction. And they would say, well, that's not ideal for a resume. What did you go to college? I said, yeah, I went to college. Where? Oh, MIT, Harvard, or you know business? No, well, went to the University of Arizona. At the time, the number one rated party school, according to Playboy magazine, which I read only for the articles, Playboy magazine, number one party school. That's where I went. Okay, you went to a party school, but what did you study? What was your major? My major was poetry writing. Oh, and then where did you go from there? I became a songwriter. And you want to train Intel? What kind of background is that? So that is what drug addiction, alcoholism, and my early life got me, was that kind of resume. Now, what turned it around was a system. Because I tried psychology, I went to psychiatrists, I went to psychologists. Why do I drink? What's wrong with me? And they had all these theories. Well, it might be because of your father. It might be because of this. It might be because of something that happened. You lost your hamster when you were 9 years old and you never got over it. And it over and over. And I kept going back. And every time I had a psychotherapeutic session, it was so disturbing. I needed a drink after that. Pretty soon I couldn't do them without drinking ahead of time. So I was getting nowhere. I'm not saying psychology is wrong. It can be great. But personally applied psychology and psychology, other kinds of psychology have not been great for me. So finally, somebody introduced me to a system. It was a 12-step system. And the system was based on one thing. Can you not drink today? And I said, well, I don't know. Maybe I can't drink today. Well, yeah, I can go today without drinking. And they said, well, that's it. You're good. Well, what about tomorrow? And they said, we really don't live in the future here. We don't get tangled up in future fantasies and my negative imaginary future. Because we find most people, alcoholics, drug addicts, and even people we interact with who are not that, they live all day long in a negative imaginary future, which is why their life becomes either subtly or dramatically fear-based. Why wouldn't it be if I'm living in a negative imaginary future? They said we live in the now. We don't pay respect to our theories and thinking. We practice one day at a time, learning to live one day at a time like you did as a child when life was wonderful. Doesn't mean we don't plan, doesn't mean we don't take responsibility for the past, but we live now. That system saved my life. I went through all 12 steps. It was the system. It didn't require that I go through some kind of internal psychological transformation first. Now, that's the flaw in almost everyone I've ever coached. I will say everyone, but I'm sure there's someone that doesn't apply to, where they always think there's something wrong with me, and what do I need to change inside me to have my life go better? And when we ask the question, what part of your life would you like to go better? They will say something. And I will then ask, what's your current system for having that go well? Well, what do you mean, current system? So, for example, I'll give some examples. I have clients over the years who want to write a book, and they come to me to coach them because I've written books. And they say, I'm not getting this book written. I want you to help me out. I think I have writer's block. I think I procrastinate. And they start listing permanent personal characteristics they believe they have that keeps them from writing a book. And so I ask, what's your system? What's your current system for finishing your book? And they look startled, like, what do you do? Well, when I only write when I feel like it. And I don't always feel like it. In fact, I almost never feel inspired to write. I wake up, I don't feel it. I'm not feeling it. I must have writer's block. I must have some psychological flaw. That's why I've come to you. I want you to fix me. And so I help them identify the current system. Your current system is you write when you feel like it. That's the system. Every system is perfect for the result that it gets. So you have a perfect system for your book not being finished. It's perfect. And it leads to that by itself. And so they say, okay, well, what's your system for it? And I say, I've used a number of systems, and you can try one or you can make up one. But what's missing is not you. What's missing is a system. So one of my systems was no matter what, 30 minutes every morning, I write. It can be bad writing, it can be good writing, it can be anything. My system is for 30 minutes, I write. I can write longer if I want, but I must write 30. And my system is to use my calendar and have my calendar be sacred. That's another system for time management. So every day, 30 minutes. And by the end of a certain period of time, there are enough words in that to be a book. Send it to the editor, send it to whomever, and I've got a book. It always works. Another system I've used for writing a book is I go to a retreat hotel, a cabana, uh, a little hut in the woods, whatever it is, and I go in there with nothing but stacks of paper, no phone turned on, phone there for emergency. And my day is taking walks and writing and taking walks and writing until the book is finished. That's called the binge writing system. I write and I write until the book is finished. There are other systems. A system I have now is when I write with a co-author. Every week, my next chapter is sent to him, must arrive by midnight Friday. He then has a week to send his chapter to me. And we wrote The Power of Systems that way. It was perfect. It worked. It was a perfect system for completing a book. Now, notice that those complete books didn't come from some major psychological change in me. They came from following a system and engaging with the system and practicing the system. The system I did in recovery at the end of going to a meeting, which was part of the system, the overall system, keep coming back to meetings, keep connecting with people who have done what you're trying to do and learn from them and stay open. Leave your ego at the door was part of the system. On the wall, there was a sign that said, "Your best thinking got you here." Sitting in a circle with drunks and drug addicts. That's your best thinking got you here. So why are you trying to use thinking, being lost in thought about all thought is about the past and the future, it's never in the now. Why are you trying to use thinking to quit drinking? Why are you trying to use thinking and psychological change to create your book? It doesn't work. It keeps you trapped. In fact, it strengthens the ego. It makes it even more stuck, even makes it feel even more permanent. This is who I am. It's what I am. It's how I roll. I'm like this. I'm not like that. I am a permanent structure, a permanent personality, lost and afraid in a world I never made, trapped inside myself. It's me against the world. And the rest of the world is flowing, the multiverse, the quantum field, the system of the universe, the flowing rivers, the rising of the sun. All these systems are flowing and changing. And I'm stuck because I believe I am my ego. I'm a permanent personality. That belief is false. I found out over time. Human being neuroplasticity, if you study it, shows that the brain is changing all the time and that our early conditioning in life, that doesn't stop. We can recondition, reinvent. That's the whole game changer system is you can change the game you're playing. And when you change the game you're playing, you change your life and you don't have to wait until your psychology has been fixed because there's nothing wrong with you other than the percentage of time you live in thinking instead of living in life. So I'll give you another quick examples. Systems versus psychology. We now call it, because there are psychologists who come when I talk about systems. I don't want to trigger them and offend them and make it sound like I'm making psychology wrong. I'm not. Psychology has helped me over time, especially the psychologists that I've learned from who have systems. And so I had, there was a client of mine who said, I have a real problem. I don't get up in the morning. And there's something I want you to help me with. It. I want you to coach me because what happens is the alarm goes off and I have planned to get up early to take care of certain things I have to write and do my exercise, make my coffee, get myself prepared for my work day, and then hit the ground running, be on time to my first project at work. And I always sleep in. I just can't get out of bed. I can't get myself to get out of bed on time. So I keep hitting the snooze bar. The next thing I know, I'm running behind. And my whole life is trying to catch up with my obligations. And she said, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, okay. So your current system for starting your day when you want to is to hear the alarm and hit the snooze button when you feel like sleeping more and staying in bed. That's your system. That's the system you're using. And she said, no, it's not. It's something wrong with me. And she began to tell me that she believed she was looking for a psychological answer. And she said, I think it's because a close family member died when I was a little girl, and they came to my bedroom to tell me. And the news was so sad, and my grief was so immediate and profound that I just pulled the covers over my head and tried to hide from life, hiding out from life. And ever since then, I've been afraid, subtly, subconsciously. This is my theory of my psychological defect, that I have this fear of engaging in life. And the way it shows up is I never start my day when I want to. And I said, that's really a great story. There's probably a lot of truth in that, but it doesn't matter. And she said, what do you mean it doesn't matter? I said, what if you really want to move from not waking up when you want to, not waking up on time, to waking up on time as a new process, a new habit, and a new activity that you can reliably do, then what's missing is the system. What's happening is your system. I get up when I finally feel like it. I get up after 5 snooze button smacks. That system isn't working. That's okay. Some systems work to get you where you want, like the book writing systems, had books get written. Some systems don't get you what you want. All you have to do is change your system. And she said, okay, that's a great theory. It's easy for you to say as a coach. You probably never had tragedy in your life, so you get up easily. And I said, well, are you willing to play with it? Are you willing to experiment? Now, one thing systems do, the shift from psychology to systems or from self-obsession to systems, is a shift from analysis to experimentation. Are you willing to experiment with a system? She said, I'll do anything if it would fix this. And I said, I love the fact that you said, if it will fix this, because you're no longer saying, if I can fix this, if it's me, if I can fix me, if I can fix what's wrong with me. Because most of my clients and myself always start when they want to change, when they want to create something different in their life, they always start with what's wrong with me? How do I fix myself before I engage with life? That has to be fixed first. What I found, my experience, my life, my clients, that comes later. That comes after engaging in a system that works. So I said, are you willing to have me invent a system for you that you're willing to try in these 2 weeks between our coaching sessions? And if you promise you'll try this system, experiment with it, really do it, like we said in our 12-step system at the end of every meeting, keep coming back. It works if you work it. If you work it, it works. It works if you work it. So she said, sure. I said, okay, here's a system, and I made it up on the spot. When you set your alarm, when the alarm goes off, you get out of bed. No matter how you're feeling, no matter what your thoughts are, you can have a thought arise that says, no way I feel like getting out of bed. It's not even good for me to get out of bed. Whatever the thought is, you get out of bed anyway, just for 2 weeks. Pretend, if you want to, that you work in a fire department. And you're in the fire department, you're in your bunk at the fire station, and when the alarm goes off, you don't hit the snooze button. You jump on the pole, you slide down, you get on the truck, no matter what. It doesn't matter how you're thinking, how you're feeling. That's your job. And so if you want to pretend the alarm is there's a fire, you need to get to it. You need to put water on one of your problems in life. And there's no option of waiting. Even 1 second, the alarm, you're up. She said, okay, for 2 weeks, I'm willing to do it. But I don't think it'll work long term. And I said, doesn't matter what you think. We're not talking about living in a world of thought. We're talking about action, activity, energy, harmonizing you, harmonizing your nervous system, harmonizing your brain with the overall system of life. So you're working together, totally vibrationally harmonic. That's what systems do. That's why systems are not robotic, they're spiritual, because they connect you to a power greater than yourself, a power greater than your ego, whatever that is. And so she said, I'll do it. 2 weeks later, we're on the call, and she said, I said, did you work the system? She said, I did. What happened? Well, the first few days, the alarm went off and I cursed you. I said, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. It's just a thought that you're giving voice to. I don't take it personally. And she said, then I started cursing myself for having you as a coach, for choosing you. And I said, that's okay. Did you get out of? Yeah, I got out of bed every day. And she said, something really strange started to happen in week 2. And I said, what was it? And she said, it started to feel kind of automatic. It started to feel, there's the alarm, I'm up. There was any thought that came up had less power because I knew from the first few days that I did it that this is doable. It's a doable system. I said, okay, fine. And she said, even better, at the end of the 2 weeks, I was loving it. I went from fighting it to accepting it to welcoming it. I said, wow, that is a process. And this is now many years later, and she still tells me now, because I'm still in contact with her. I'm not coaching her anymore. She says, my alarm goes off, I get up. That's it. And if I don't like it, if I set it too early, that I didn't really need to get up that early, what I do is remind myself the next day, be more mindful of when I set the alarm, but I get up anyway, because that's just what I do. That just flows now. I'm in flow with that way. So that's another example. I've got so many examples in the book. If you don't have it and you want it, I'm happy to send it to you. I'm not here to sell the book. If you'd like me to send you the book, I'm happy to send it to you, because the book has many, many examples of what happens when I move from ego, self, permanent stuck self, to engaging with the world through the use of a system. And the process is always identify the system that's now in place first, because some people, when they learn this, they still cling to something's wrong with me and a system will fix what's wrong with me. That's not what we're talking about. So they're skipping step one. Step one is, what's the system that's currently in play? I had a person who had felt bad about their relationship with their mother. She lives far away. I don't talk to her very often. I feel guilty that I don't. And I said, what's your system for staying in touch with your mother? Well, there's something wrong with me. I wonder what my resistance is. I'm carrying resentments I have to get rid of. Hang on. I'm not a psychologist. I don't go there. You can go there if you want. That can be fun for you, costly too. Go to a psychologist, try to figure out why you don't connect with your mother. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But do you want to stay in closer touch with her in the meantime or now instead of after you fix yourself? Well, yeah. So we experimented together and we said, how about every Sunday you call your mom? No matter what, Sunday's family day. And practice that system for a few weeks, see how it feels, see how it works. He's been doing it ever since. Sunday, hi, mom. Checking in with you. It's Sunday. I'm not working. I love talking to you. Sunday's my family day. And so systems, they don't necessarily bypass important psychological transformation, but they encourage it. And quite often, I've seen over the years that someone engaging in a system, whatever occurs internally to have that shift, and like Devin teaches, who you're being versus what you're doing, that occurs by itself on its own as you're calling your mother Sunday to Sunday to Sunday. Issues with mom start to feel lighter, resentments start to go away, the relationship starts to get better, not from what I did with my shrink, but from calling her every Sunday. So I won't use more examples except for one final one. There was a time a few years ago when I used to fret about the fact that uh, there were only certain pockets of every year where I really felt inspired. Am I living an inspired life? And I wonder why. Maybe I'm too old. Maybe I'm this. Maybe I'm that. And then I caught myself. I'm trying to analyze myself here. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with me that I don't live, that I'm only occasionally inspired. And I thought, okay, let me slow down. Let me use my own coaching. What would be a system, an intentional, repeatable system for having an inspired life? So I sat and I figured out what inspires me. Well, certain TED Talks I love, certain audios I love. There are some books that I read years ago that I was so inspired after I read it. They're on my shelf somewhere. And so I created a system for myself. And then I later taught a whole course in it called Morning Rituals, Morning Routine. What do I do in the morning where I connect with what inspires me first thing before I work? Before I engage with what my to-do list has, I do morning ritual, morning. So I might have a TED talk on it that I love that I haven't heard, but I have a whole file that I've gathered and saved. I've moved my bookcase from random inspiring books somewhere in the house to a whole. I moved them all. The most inspiring books I've ever read are on one shelf. I'll pull one down. I'll open it up. Sometimes at random. Sometimes I love it so much I read the whole book, but I do my reading. It inspires me. Devin had his guitar out. Music inspires me. So I have music in the morning. I have a piano. I have a guitar. I connect to music. I do breathing. I do meditation. I do inspirational reading. And I enter the day feeling inspired. Now, is that because I'm an inspired person? No, I have a system for it. That's why it's happening. Now, it looks on the outside, wow, he's an inspired person. He's always so inspired. He's always excited. He's got continuous learning going on. He's always going to retreats and stuff like that. That's a quality. That's a characteristic. No, it's not. It's a system. It's a system. That's all it is. All right. I've talked too much. I had 8 hours to do this 2 days ago here, Arizona. So I just fit 8 hours into 30 minutes. So I'm open if there are questions or comments.
Yes, yes. Give it up for Steve. Thank you, Steve. That was fantastic. We're gonna go right in. Somebody you know. We're gonna go and start with Mr. Dietz.
Deeds,
Hello, Steve. Wonderful to see you again.
great
So
to see
excited.
you, man. Music, talk about music.
I play a little, yes.
Yeah, you play great.
We've played together at
Yeah.
one of your ACSs. So, Steve, here's my question. Obviously, since Steve Hardison came out with the Ultimate Book and started turning us on to our document and our declaration of being has become a big thing in my life, I can say.
Okay.
And in the Game Changer, it is be, do, have. That's what we've ingrained in our head. Correct me if I'm wrong, that if I'm struggling with that, as you have said, the struggles, whatever struggles that you've had, in order to incorporate a system, am I putting do in front of be?
Yes.
Okay. That's okay. So then I am
But
getting,
but Deeds, it doesn't mean you have to leave the philosophical power of be, do, have behind. That can inform you. That can be, if you create a document out of that, which the Hardisonian program is, create your document, list the beliefs you want to, principles you want to live by. That's a system for creating some intellectual, philosophical grounding in you. But if it only stays there, like I know people in the ultimate program who can recite their document and not live it at all. And so it's a great, you can include that and still utilize systems to have you create what you want to create in your life.
understood.
Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you. Thank you, Steve.
you're welcome.
Great question, Dietz. Let's go to Marcos next.
Thanks for all of that. That was amazing. I'm I'm a little caught up with trying to figure out when you talk about not over analyzing or analyzing ourselves and thinking what's wrong with me. I definitely do that for sure. Um, how do I create a system without doing that first? That's the conflict I'm having is figuring out how to create a system without looking at the things I want to change,
I've never
if that
known
makes
I've
sense.
never known anyone who could do that. I mean, that's a fantasy. I would love to never have a negative thought about me. I would love to never have the thought arise, something's wrong with me. Uh, so your relationship to your thoughts and beliefs and thought habit of analyzing what's wrong with me, when you utilize systems and see that I can engage with whatever I choose to engage with, these thoughts that arise are not really running my life. So the system can have those thoughts be taken more lightly. So I'll have a thought arise like, I don't know why Devin asked me today. I I was in a low mood. I don't. I'm. My inspiration went away for a while. I'm not qualified for this. I'm too old. Everyone's on the call is younger than I am. Those thoughts arise, and they don't matter. They don't mean anything. So to try to make them go away, like I would prefer a life where only positive thoughts arise. I would prefer that. So how do I have a life where I'm never thinking that? I've never known any human being who could do it, but the good news is you don't have to. You let it go. Let it be. Let a thought come and go. Don't cling to it. Don't believe it. Don't grasp it. And there are systems for having you take those thoughts more lightly. Like Byron Katie's system is powerful for me not being at the mercy of my thoughts and beliefs. Powerful system. Positive psychology, Dr. Martin Seligman, if you want to read his books, they have a disputational practice you can use for pessimistic thinking so that it's lighter. It becomes a joke. A thought arises, you're a loser, or you're a fraud, you're an imposter, or whatever. Once you are engaged with life more and more, and you're not at the mercy of your thinking as much, those thoughts don't matter anymore. They're jokes. They're like, yeah, right, I'm a loser. I don't care that thought came up. So trying to get rid of, how do I get rid of that before I start experimenting with systems? Don't even try. It's not important.
Because when you were talking about that, the fact that when you start to state, don't overanalyze, don't think about what's wrong with me, and the fact that when you do that, then you already feel like, well, I'm already like I'm already starting off the wrong foot. But I get what you're saying is basically those thoughts are going to be there, but just make sure that the volume on those is lower than the volume of the systems that you said. So like you
Yes.
can't stop them from happening, but just make sure the volume on the systems is a lot louder than those intrusive thoughts.
Yeah, the credibility of a system. Systems work. Those thoughts are disconnected from the truth about life. They're all made up. Every thought is made up. So I'm not saying don't think about that or don't have analytical thoughts. I'm saying don't cling to it. Don't stay there. Don't give it respect. Don't have it be where you live. They'll be there. They just become less and less important. And they become less attached to me, like my thoughts, I'm thinking, it's me. No, these are cosmic events. These could be thoughts that your father said when you were half asleep and they were eyes, oh, that's my thought. I'm a loser. I'm a late bloomer. I'm not dependable. I can't be counted on. I never finish anything. I'm not good with money. Those thoughts, they come from all different places. They're not the truth about life. So I'm not saying don't have analytical thoughts. I'm saying don't live there. Don't Velcro to every thought that comes up. Don't take them seriously if what you really want to be doing is living
Amazing.
instead of thinking.
Good stuff, Marcos. Thanks, Steve. Let's go to Mike.
That was a great question, Marcos.
Really great.
That was great.
Hi, Steve. Thank you so much for being here today, and it's an honor to hear you, and thank you for taking my question. So it's a bit of a piggyback off of Marcos, but if you mentioned psychologists that have a system are the ones that are helpful.
That have helped me. Okay,
Okay, yeah.
I'm not making blanket statements.
No, and I respect that. And where I'm going with my question is about what work when you're working with psychologists. What is the action that would be beneficial um, to get one to stop using, like to get in their head so much and just to stop and slow down? One thing that I learned was just to breathe through the thought and then just let it go and let it be. but then my head comes back and says, well, how can you do that every time you have a thought or something interferes? So is it like an example where you just keep applying that system and it happens faster and you kind of just like the thoughts just start to go away and don't
Yes,
have any value to you any? Is that
yes, yeah. That's a good system. Take a breath. Slow down. Is that thought even true? or is it part of the static and the noise? And yeah, that's a great system. Take a breath. Now, it's not a great system to then project and say, yeah, but will it always happen? Or, yeah, but can I rely on it forever? Yeah, but because that's my negative imaginary future. Allow it to work. And over time, if I practice slowing down, taking a breath before I react, like in a relationship like a family relationship I have with my wife or my daughter or whatever, if I learn to take a breath, zoom out a little bit, drop out of my head into my heart, be a little compassion, feel a little compassion, listen to what she's feeling, not just what she's saying, to see if I agree with it. That's a system. That's a system. And the more I practice it, it starts to happen automatically. Someone speaks, I take a breath.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a good system you identified.
Thank you. I'm working on applying that and regularly. So yeah,
Good.
so much for reinforcing that for me. I appreciate that.
All right. Jess, who's next?
I feel intuitively called to Greg, and he just raised his hand at the same time. Greg, come on up.
Let's get Greg and then see if we can get Gail before we complete.
Awesome. Steve, great to see you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here with us. My question, two questions are flowing, but I'll go with one. Actions. I've learned actions result from feelings, which result from thought or belief. Which sometimes I'll think, all right, well, now I'm going to psychology of what I believe or think, but you're saying, or what I'm hearing you say is like that you don't have to do that. So I'm trying to put those two together or fit them, because it sounds like it's like combating or different.
Yeah, it sounds like you're asking what can I trust, what belief system can I trust before I go out and live? What's correct? What's right? Do actions come first? Do beliefs come first? Does a thought come before every action? Do I ever just act out of intuition with no thinking? I can analyze that and trade intellectual concepts about that forever. And I'm not living my life. So the theory you're presenting could be absolutely accurate, but where you're really going to find out whether checking in with the system that's you're using now and experiment and not having it get the result you want and experimenting with a different system, the only way you're going to find out whether that matches up with some belief system you want to believe is to experiment with, to try it out, see for yourself whether it works. We can argue theory and metaphysical philosophy forever, but I found out it's not as important as I thought it was. I want to live. I don't want to stay inside books and theories and thoughts. The percent of my time I spend swirling around in these thoughts. There was a book written by Charles Dickens in which the government had a department of circumlocution, they called it. So every problem was referred to this department where they would just circle around and hand you off to someone else and nothing would ever get solved. That's what my mind was doing, always trying to figure out. What are the three principles? I forgot the third principle. Is it be, do, have? Wait a second. I thought it was have, do, be. I don't have to learn that in order to get on the court. It can be helpful. It can be useful. It can make some sense to me. It can inspire me. So I'm not saying dismiss it. I'm just saying it doesn't have anything to do with what I'm talking about.
One thing that came into mind when you're speaking is that could be well, I guess the question is, could that be a system if it's working or not working in the
Yeah.
sense? So,
Yeah,
like
it
if
is.
it's not working and because you're not getting the action, change that system. But if that change, going through that process is getting into action, then use that system to work.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. And
Good.
then, sorry, go ahead.
Good. I said good.
Oh, and then, so when you come to systems, sometimes I think of habits, and when I think of habits, I think of some of these books about desire. So, like, because a lot of these people say, like, well, the level of desire can impact getting into action, but it's like that's it doesn't like that doesn't have to. And I'm not here. I'm hearing, and I'm asking that is that play into system or totally not?
Well, in my experience and with clients, level of desire would change throughout the day. So level of desire when I'm inside a course or something, or when I'm focused on something, could be really high. I have a real desire, and then next thing I know, where's my desire today? I'm not feeling it. So if I'm taking my emotional temperature all day long with an anal thermometer, I sorry for that image. They used to have that when I was young, and I hated it. But if I'm going to base everything on figuring out my level of desire, I'll be out of action forever because it comes and goes.
Really good.
Thank you.
So we're gonna wrap up, Steve. I just want to thank you so much. It reminds me, one of my favorite lines from recovery is when they said, and I think this kind of sums up what you're sharing about systems with people, is when they told us, stop trying to think your way into better behavior and behave your way into better thinking.
Yeah.
And in many ways, that's the system, right? Get into action, behave your way into better thinking. So,
Yeah.
Steve, we really are grateful for you coming and sharing the wisdom. I know this hit home for so many people. We want to remind everybody to please complete your player profile so everybody gets to know you. We're going to please do that this week if possible. And we're going to take everyone off mute, say thank you. And I'm just going to pick someone in a word or a sentence. What's been the most valuable thing you've heard, thought, or experienced from Steve? Really quick. Dietz.
Living one day at a time, like the life of a child, not a fear-based negative future fantasy. I love that.
Ellie.
Turn up the volume on your systems.
Ali. Marcos.
Me.
Jenny.
Experiment.
Jonathan.
Percentage in my life versus percentage in my thoughts.
Roz.
Much more time in my life, not less in my thoughts.
Tamara.
Get out of your head and start living.
Michael.
You want to live, stop swirling around into theories.
Gail.
Are you living in theories?
Ken.
Yeah, get out of your books and theory and get into your life.
Denise.
It's not you, it's your system.
Jesse.
Change the game you're playing and you can change your life.
Greg.
Out of your head into action.
Amber.
The only way you'll figure it out is to try it out.
That's it. Allie.
Stop swirling, start living.
That's it. Well, Steve, as you can see, hit home with everybody. We're going to send everybody a copy of your book who's on this call, The Power of Systems. Steve, where's the best way? What you're up to? Where do you want people to check you out?
Sign up for my free emails and that'll be fun for you. It's on my page, stevechandler.com.
All right. And we'll send that out to everybody. Steve, we love you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Game Changers. Have a great day. Thanks, big dog.
You're welcome, man.
Great job.
Thank you.
Talk soon.